Man, my heart has always braked for the Fantastic Four because it's no secret they haven't exactly had the best film adaptations. With the last one damn near killing the characters, not only in a live action medium, but across the board. Seeing their appearances get diminished in cartoons, games, and yeah, even the comics. With Disney saying they didn't want to in any way help promote other studios' projects. So they phased out Marvel's first family from the comics for quite a long time. Now, I've always been more of a casual Fantastic Four fan. Not that I dislike the characters, it's actually the complete opposite. I love them. But I never read a ton of their stuff over the years to the extent of something like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, or Daredevil. But either way, I was super hyped when Fanforstic was coming out, only to watch the movie and be disappointed beyond belief. But to that movie's credit, the first 30 minutes honestly weren't that bad, and you could see where the creative team really wanted to go with the story before studio meddling. And as much as I push back on the nostalgia from people trying to say that the Tim Story duology were good movies, there are some good things about them for sure. With of course the giant standout being Michael Chiklis's Ben Grimm. And you know Chris Evans was a pretty good Johnny, and the dual performance for Silver Surfer by Doug Jones and Lawrence Fishburne were great. But everything else surrounding those movies were pretty lackluster. Reed never really had any charm to him, and Sue was just eye candy if we're being honest. And we already know how they treated Doom in both versions. All this to say, there's a lot of pressure on Marvel to get this one right, and fans have been looking at everything with a microscopic lens. And hey man, guess what? Even in the chaotic mess that is the current MCU, they did it! They not only made an incredible Fantastic Four movie, they made the Fantastic Four movie I've been dying to see my whole life. And I'm sure even more diehard fans of the characters have been wanting it more than me. I mean, the movie is pretty good. It's pretty damn good.
Say that again?
Between this and Superman, this month has proved how far we've come since the Tim Story and Singer adaptations of these characters, where it's actually okay to get weird with its concepts and visuals, and the audience will follow the narrative, as long as they care about the characters. And man, do we care about these versions of the characters. In Fanforstic, you never got the family dynamic. You definitely got it with Story's take, but I think even with that accomplishment, half the team felt hollow, with honestly the only real character having any substance being Ben Grimm. But First Steps not only gives you the perfect family dynamic, not only do they make you care for every single character on the roster, not only do they find a way to actually give Reed emotional depth and charm without compromising his other flaws his intellect gets himself into, but every single member actually has extremely specific talents that show their importance. Ben is more than the smash things up, yes pun intended, character. He is the rock, yes another pun, for the group. The true caretaker of everyone, using his own personal experiences to help guide the others through their emotional issues. Johnny isn't only some cool ladies man, he's the beating heart of the team, pushing his enthusiasm, making it spread to every member, and is actually not a complete moron, but someone who is actually quite capable intellectually. Reed isn't only the smarts and isn't always this distant sociopath, but a genuine paranoid who wants to save the world from every problem because it comes from a place of love. And seeing how it actually tears him apart brought a surprisingly touching and heartbreaking scene between him and Sue. Which, speaking of Susan Storm, wow! Vanessa Kirby is the MVP of this movie. Not only do I think the whole movie rides on her shoulders, I think she is the best part of the film, hands down. There's nothing else that even comes close. Don't get me wrong, the writing for the character is phenomenal on its own, but having the caliber of an actor like herself to bring the page to life and not only give a good performance, but the performance of the movie, stealing every single scene, was exceptional. Her physicality in the role was such an outstanding contribution. The way she contorts her body around when she's using her powers made the scenes have such a sense of urgency that even though these people are powerful, there's a limit to it. But enough gushing over these characterizations, because I have to move on to the look, feel and world building of this film. Shackman is a force to reckon with when it comes to aesthetics. He took his experience on WandaVision and ran with it in this project. Not seeing many set photos from this movie while it was in production had me concerned that the whole thing would be shot on green screen, like most of Marvel's projects lately. And that was pleasantly not the case. It so happens that they were simply filming on the most beautifully constructed sets Marvel Studios has ever put to the screen. I genuinely believe it should be an Oscar contender this year along with costuming. Besides the immaculate sets, the world building wasn't something I expected to have so much of. And I am so happy that the retrofuturism wasn't solely a background aesthetic, because they went full on into making this feel like a real living place, with every little piece of technology or equipment having a unique flair to it. A kitchen bar isn't only a kitchen bar, it's raised up and down by voice control. An audio recorder isn't only an audio recorder, but it creates a vinyl disc. There's so much attention to detail in a way I haven't seen from a practicality and prop making perspective for not only Marvel Studios, but big budget movies in a long time. Also, I want a life-size Herbie. Marvel, make it happen. But the biggest strength this movie has comes from this sense of dread of the oncoming threat of Galactus, which combines all of the aforementioned elements and brings them together perfectly. We care about the team, so we don't want anything to happen to them or their child. And we care about this world, so we don't want to see it get destroyed. And because it's in its own universe, the whole movie, we have no idea if the team will fail or not, bringing that paranoia up to another level. But speaking of Galactus and Silver Surfer, wow, once again, Shackman proves how leaning into the crazy side of the comics isn't a bad thing. Yes, we got a great Silver Surfer adaptation in the past, but this surpasses it in my opinion. The immediate feeling of guilt and trauma is felt from Shia LaBeouf, and her being the one to take out Galactus was such a fulfilling arc for her. Alright, let's get to talking about the big man. And all I gotta say is see how easy it is to do Galactus right? He's an ancient being that needs to eat planets to survive. It's pretty simple to understand. I don't get why they had to make him a big old cloud beforehand. But they did something interesting with him in this narrative. We all assumed that he would want Franklin in this movie, but most likely to gain more power. No, that little dude was his retirement plan. And not that it exactly makes you sympathetic towards Galactus, but damn, does it not make him the one-note villain he easily could have been? You feel his desperation. Even in his physicality, you can see this guy is so ancient, his body can't keep up with living anymore. This guy only wants peace and is willing to make a deal with the Four in order to have it. But when that doesn't work out, well, damn does it lead to some truly awesome set pieces. Small side note, I know we don't get to see much of Reed's powers, but when we do see them, specifically in the climactic battle, it's incredible. It really gave me Spider-Man vibes, the way he was like just swinging around. Speaking of the final battle and Galactus, I think the way they decided to end the threat was extremely clever, not gonna lie. I thought the idea of teleporting the planet was a bit much, but I was willing to see where it goes. But then having Shia LaBeouf wreck their shit made the stakes and intensity fly higher. But basically shoving Galactus into a portal was a great way to end the conflict, making it feel earned while keeping the door, or I guess portal, open for the character to return in future projects. Overall, First Steps is a great adaptation of the characters and created a world I loved watching, with emotional weight in its storytelling while also being a remarkable breath of fresh air for not only Marvel or the comic book genre, but simply blockbusters. I'm so happy that I didn't walk away having liked the movie, but having to talk about a bunch of small nitpicks. The humor wasn't the typical MCU humor, but felt like the actual characters speaking with each other. The CGI was mostly flawless. And most importantly, the movie had a distinct look and creative voice. With my only criticism being there's like 3 shots of CGI Franklin that looked rough. So yeah, with all that said, Fantastic Four First Steps is fantastic. Alright, thank you for checking out the video, I really appreciate it. But I also did want to mention that I actually have made a short film. It took me almost a year and a half to make, and will it be the greatest cinematic feat you have ever seen? No, but I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and most importantly, all my friends came together to really help create my vision and finalize it. And for that reason alone, I think you should go ahead and give it a watch, because I am eternally grateful for all their help. The whole idea for the short film was, what if I made a Peter Parker story without Spider-Man? So hopefully that can give you a bit of an expectation on what the tone would be like, and if you want to check it out, you can go ahead and click right here on the right. Thank you.